It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We had some fairly major news just break in the last hour as the California legislature has passed and Gavin Newsom has signed the bill that will lead to the special election on November 4th to temporarily redraw the state's congressional lines to get even with Texas, but they promise in 2030 they'll bring it back to an independent redistricting commission. Apparently, the proposition is going to be called Prop 50, as I'm looking right now at a live stream of Gavin Newsom talking to his supporters on his personal YouTube page, where he's standing in front of a setup with posters that were already made that say yes on 50, fair elections in all states. So now this thing is on the ballot. Let's hear the reasoning why the Assembly and the State Senate and the governor say they had to do this. They all just had a press conference, so get ready for the not ready for primetime players of Robert Rivas, and then Mike McGuire, and then we'll hear Gavin Newsom. We'll see how much I can stand of each of them, and then we'll find out from you how you think you're voting on this thing, because there's not really been a lot of polling done, so why don't we do our first poll right here on KABC. At 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Now that this thing is officially going on the ballot, how will you be voting? Will you be voting to allow the state of California to redraw its congressional lines to get back at Texas for doing the same thing? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's hear what Rivas had to say.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Get this started. I'm proud to be here with many of our legislative colleagues. I'm proud to be here with Pro Tem McGuire and, of course, our governor, Mr. Gavin Newsom.
Boy, we're just starting with ass-kissing. Is that what this whole thing's going to be?
This is a dangerous moment for our country. And we are here to meet that moment.
We're here to raise the temperature even further.
As Californians, as legislators, President Trump doesn't believe in our democratic system.
And neither do we. I mean, that might not be what they're saying, but that's definitely what they're showing, that this system doesn't work anymore, so we're not going to do it.
And it's clear that he'll do whatever it takes to hold onto power. That's what we saw on January 6th.
Oh, boy.
That's what we saw on January 6th. He couldn't handle losing, so he sent a violent mob that terrorized our nation's capital, all to stop the peaceful transition of power.
And then he still won.
What happened yesterday in Texas is the same dangerous playbook. His MAGA allies in that state just gave themselves 5 more House seats at Trump's order.
Mm-hmm. Well, they drew 5 more very beneficial districts, and yeah, they probably will get 5 House seats, but there's always a possibility that this could blow back in Texas, and there's always the possibility that this could blow back in California. Because I think the average person, maybe the person that doesn't pay attention to this stuff 24/7 and is glued to the television on one of these very partisan cable networks on either side, looks at all of this and says, I don't like what Texas is doing, and I don't like what California's doing. And maybe the way to teach both of those states a lesson is to punish them for it by voting the way that they don't think you're going to vote in those elections. I don't know.
They want to rig the system so that there's no way Republicans can lose in the 2026 midterm elections. Let's call it for what it is.
And so now California is going to do the same thing with 5 safe Democrat seats and 4 toss-ups, which could potentially, if things really go their way, wipe out all Republican representation in Congress in the state of California, which would be something.
Donald Trump and Republicans don't want to be held accountable by voters. Not in California, not anywhere, actually, in this country. They don't want to be held accountable for cutting Medicare, Medicaid. They don't want to be held accountable for reckless tariffs that are raising prices at the grocery store every single day.
By the way, if all those things are being felt by next summer, I think you'll see a repudiation at the ballot box no matter what the lines are.
And on many other goods. They don't want to be held accountable for illegal ICE raids that are terrorizing our neighborhoods.
Yeah, that one's kind of a gray area. They have the legal authority to do it. The people that they're going after aren't in the country illegally, and we kind of haven't been enforcing that. And in California, we have this sanctuary nonsense. But forget it. What they're doing is totally illegal.
They don't want to be held accountable for the corruption that sees Donald Trump, his family, his closest friends raking millions of dollars while everyone else struggles to get by in this country.
And we don't like corruption in California. Except for, several members of the LA City Council that have been raided by the FBI, the corruption scandals going on in places like Oakland with former Mayor Sheng Tao and the Dong family. And I don't know, you might even want to talk about some would say it's corruption of the alleged actions that took place over the last week, where this guy right here, Robert Rivas, wanted to make sure when these new lines were drawn that they drew him a nice, fancy, safe district that he can run for when Zoe Lofgren retires. And his partner in the state Senate, Mr. Prune Farmer Mike McGuire, allegedly requested an entire district to be drawn on his behalf because he'd rather run for Congress than insurance commissioner. We don't know if that's totally the case, but there have been plenty of reports.
The list goes on and on and on. Of course, Donald Trump doesn't want to be held accountable for his failures in this next election. That's why he is trying to rig it.
Okay, who's doing the hype man?
That's why he is trying to rig it.
Or was that him?
Well, Mr. President, here in California, we are going to hold you accountable for your failures.
We're going to cheat the same way Texas is, but because of our Constitution and because we passed independent redistricting, we're going to send it to the voters. Will you let us do this? Just for a few years? We'll give you the power back.
And we will do whatever it takes to preserve American democracy and ensure that voters...
Just this term right here.
And we will do whatever it takes to preserve American democracy.
It reminds me, right now I'm rewatching the fantastic show Peacemaker on HBO Max. The second season premieres tonight. And one of Peacemaker's idiotic taglines, because he's an anti-hero, is the guy played by John Cena, is, I want to achieve peace no matter how I do it, no matter how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get it. It's kind of what this sounds like.
And we will do whatever it takes to preserve American democracy.
We have all these ethics. We have all these morals. We have all of these standards. We have independent redistricting, but none of that matters anymore because if Texas is going to fight dirty, then California is going to fight dirtier.
And ensure that voters...
ultimately, I don't know. I look at this as someone who's in the very middle of the road. I'm a no party preference voter. I don't like any of this. It's all ugly politics. And the thing that I would love to see come out at the end of this is realizing that this is insanity. If every state's going to start this arms race and constantly be going after each other and figure out new ways to cheat every 2 years, maybe we got to figure out a system. Maybe Congress has to actually come together and come to a compromise, which I know is very difficult nowadays, where none of this should be allowed anywhere. But I don't know if we're there.
Can still let you know in 2026 what they think of your job performance. And this bill is a temporary measure in response to an urgent threat.
Now, here's the other problem. California doesn't have a great track record with the term temporary. Even if you take Rivas and McGuire and Gavin at their word that this is something that we're just going to give us this power for now, and we swear we'll give it back to you in a couple of years. They don't have a great track record with the word temporary. Jerry Brown, when he became governor again for the 8,000th time in 2010, he passed a sales tax hike that was meant to be a temporary tax. What do you know? That one became permanent. Remember Measure H in Los Angeles to deal with the homeless? That was supposed to be temporary and expire in 2027. And then what do? They put a measure on the ballot last year that passed called Measure A, which doubled that tax and made it permanent. So just because these people say that this power grab is temporary doesn't mean anyone will believe them.
It's a temporary measure in response to an urgent threat. Californians can see that threat. Why? Because we are living through the consequences of Trump's policies every single day. And today, we are giving every Californian the opportunity to say no to Donald Trump's power grab and to stand up for our people, for our state, and for our democracy. And with that, I want to invite up here Senate Pro Tem Mike McGuire.
Oh, boy. If you think this guy is unimpressive, wait till you hear the prune farmer, Mike McGuire. Nothing against prunes or prune farmers, but Mike McGuire is a hack. The fact that Mike McGuire termed out of this role in the state Senate was looking to run for insurance commissioner, which is one of the most easily corruptible jobs in all of state government, as we know.
I'm very kind of sketchy.
Tells you everything you need to know about Mike McGuire. But this is the breaking news. The California legislature passed the measures to put this thing on the ballot. Gavin Newsom has signed it. Apparently, it's going to be called Prop 50. There will be a special election on November 4th. You'll get ballots a month before, where you get to decide if you will let the California legislature rewrite these congressional maps for the next, 6 years? So since this just came out, since this is now something that is real, I'd love to get your take on it. How do you think you'll be voting when it comes to Proposition 50, the emergency redistricting, whatever the hell they're calling this? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Tell me how you're thinking of voting. There hasn't been a lot of polling on this, specifically now that it just broke, that this thing passed and is going on the ballot, and also doesn't have a trigger anymore where they only do this if Texas does theirs. They say Texas already drew first blood. That's right, we're getting all Rambo on this. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. How will you be voting in November's special election? I'd love to know. Let's go to Diana in Whittier. Diana, hello.
Hi, Randy. I love your show right now and earlier in the day. No. Exclamation marks behind it. Anything that Newsom wants, I will vote no on. I hate that man. He makes me crazy.
And you know what's interesting is while Gavin might be getting this glowing review from across the country based on his Twitter account and all the fighting he's doing against Trump, what have you, he's still not super popular within the state. I think his latest approval rating is still in the 40s. And the last time Gavin Newsom fully got behind a ballot measure, that was Prop 1 last summer, and that barely passed. And that was not as complicated as what this is.
And it shouldn't have passed. And these people have to get up off their butts, talk to their neighbors, talk to their family, and say, "Come on, guys! This is our home. We cannot let this man destroy it more than he already has. You've got to go out there and vote, and you've got to vote no. This man is crazy."
Thank you so much for the call, Diana. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. How will you be voting on the special election to let the legislature redistrict California for the 2026 election. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Bob in Marina Del Rey. Bob, hello.
Yeah, hello. I'm voting no, big time. Yeah, Gavin Newsom cannot do a good job on the state of California. You know, why would you even follow any of his policies? So my other question to you was, I thought that the total representatives, you know, for a state depended on your population. So if you had 20 million people, you would get a certain number of representatives. How could they, you know, increase the number of seats with the same population?
Well, they're not increasing the number of total seats because that is something that's allocated by the census every year. In the last census, California actually lost a seat. We used to have 53. Now we have 52 seats. What they're trying to do is redraw the lines of the districts. For instance, the city of Lodi will now be split in between 3 districts. Santa Rosa is getting drawn in so they can, what they believe is, hold more competitive elections that will favor Democrat candidates, even in what used to be safer Republican districts. And they are targeting specifically 5 districts that they think they can knock people out, like Kevin Kiley in the suburbs of Sacramento and Doug LaMalfa and a few other members up in Northern California. That's what they say they're doing. So right now, there are 9 Republican House seats in the state of California. They want to take out 5 of those and potentially all 9 of those, but there's still the same amount of seats throughout the entire state, and that doesn't change till the census, where it very well could go down again because population loss has been rampant in California as other states have been massively increasing in population.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for answering my question on that. But I'm going to vote no. Gavin Newsom, he fell down on his job as far as taking care of the fires, the Palisade fires. He's at every turn, the guy he's incompetent. So I would encourage voters to vote no on Prop 50.
Well, thank you so much for the call, Bob. Appreciate it. You know, it's interesting what you say about the fires. Gavin Newsom, one of his terms that's on the bingo sheet, something he says all the time, is localism is determinative. And that is Gavin Newsom's way of passing the buck, that when anything fails at the local level, it's not his fault, even though he could be getting on the phone and calling Karen Bass and saying, what the hell's going on with the permitting? But he doesn't want to do that. He'd rather say localism is determinative and not take the blame. Homelessness goes up in California. Oh, it's all the local leaders. Well, I said that we need to clear up those homeless encampments. I even said damn a bunch of times to put on a black T-shirt and clean them up myself. Well, who's the biggest county that's not wanting to do what Gavin Newsom said to do? L.A. County. And what did he do about it? Nothing. Localism is determinative. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. They did it. They went up and did it. The breaking news is that the California legislature has passed and Gavin Newsom has signed the bill that will lead to the special election in November, where you get the choice if you want to allow the state to redistrict themselves for the next 6 years. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Tell me what you think about this. How will you be planning on voting on this? 800-222-KABC. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. I got bad news for you if you are sick of elections. We've now got one in California. A special election on November 4th. It was just signed into law by Gavin Newsom. If you go to the ballot, you'll be asked a question. It's kind of confusing. But do you want to give the California legislature the power to redraw congressional districts for the next 3 cycles? Then they swear they'll give it back. How are you feeling about this? How do you think you're going to vote on this? Let's go to Shannon in Santa Monica. Shannon, hello.
Yes, that would be hell no. I'm not going to vote for that. I think we officially have gone insane living here with the prices and the voting anyway. Maybe we should check Mr. Newsom into an insane asylum and throw away the key along with his aunt.
You know, if we actually had insane asylums still, that would be a great place to put them. But unfortunately, we don't. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. How are you voting on what they're now calling Prop 50? If you're on hold, stay on hold. We'll get to more of your calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Well, the phones are lit up. People want to talk about this. Gavin Newsom is getting his special election. If you vote yes on Prop 50 in November, the legislature gets to redraw congressional districts for only a temporary amount of time. Let's see how you feel about this. Let's start with Kirk in Seal Beach. Kirk, hello.
Hello. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretend I'm a Democrat. The will of the people doesn't matter. So as a Democrat, I'm going to vote early and vote often. Hell no.
Thanks so much for the call, Kirk. Appreciate it. Let's go to Monica in Irvine. Monica, hello.
Hi, Randy. Thank you for taking my call. I'm going to vote no, but I don't really see the point in voting because the elections are generally rigged, and usually my vote as a conservative doesn't go through in any of Newsom's schemes that he puts on the ballot. So it's like, is it really worth my time to even vote? But I'm looking at the proposed congressional maps, and I'm seeing Huntington Beach looped in or lumped in with Long Beach, and there's clearly differences there. It's just watering down the conservative voice and putting and he also mapped, I think it really went after the coast, because now San Clemente, it loops in all the way to Encinitas, and from what I've been hearing about San Diego becoming even more blue, then it kind of waters down the more conservative community in San Clemente. So you just see all sorts of screwy things happening with these maps. I see Irvine and Tustin in the same district, but yet Orange is in a separate district rather than drawn in with Irvine and Tustin, and they all border each other.
It's real screwy. It's real partisan, and that's the design, and that's the same thing that Texas is doing, and I don't like any of it, but I don't know if the answer is, well, we don't like what they're doing, so we're going to do the same thing. That's everything that's wrong with politics. Monica, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Chris in Westlake Village. Chris, hello.
Hey, Randy. I tuned in a little late, so I hope I'm not redundant, but I think I saw a Republican lawmaker yesterday saying that they're filing lawsuits to try to stop this if part of it's illegal. Maybe you have some input on that. And then maybe you could put some more input on the many ridiculous things this California legislature has done and harmful to everyone that is listening right now. They have harmed you in one way or another. And didn't they play part in that ABU thing that's going on where they can build an apartment building overlooking your single-family home and such as that? I mean, the list goes on, and maybe you can remind everybody just as pushback against this ridiculous California legislature and all the harm they've caused all over the board. It's just terrible. And, regardless, Newsom, if you want to just feel good, go back and watch Ron DeSantis mow Governor Newsom down like wilted grass, and I hope you have a good day.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Chris. Appreciate it. Let me give you two responses there. One, yeah, the California legislature has been responsible for a lot of things against the will of the people, including not properly funding Prop 36. Now, when it comes to the Republican members of the legislature suing over this, that already got killed in the California Supreme Court. So that's not happening. This thing will be on the ballot. The question is now, how are you going to vote on it? Let's go to Dave in Orange. Dave, hello.
Good evening. How you doing, Randy?
Doing great.
Quite honestly, I mean, I'm voting no, and I'm telling all my family and friends and everybody that can vote to vote no. And when this is all said and done and this so-called governor's term is up, instead of running for president, I think he ought to run as or not run, but he ought to get himself hired out as a consultant to WD-40, because nothing sticks to this guy. He's slicker than can be. He's trying to get things through that have no business getting done. They're not focused on anything. They're diverting the conversation away from all the other failures, as opposed to homelessness, as opposed to getting permits back in place for people to reestablish their homes, along with all of the other issues such as going broke in the Medi-Cal system here in the state. And to me, it's just nothing more than, look away, look away. It's shouting and yelling to keep from people looking at the failure of him and everybody that is in this Democratic Party trying to keep this state going down a rabbit hole faster than anybody is. It's just totally ridiculous. It really is.
Well, you make a really strong point, and I will pitch Gavin Newsom's podcast to see if they want to have WD-40 as a sponsorship. If not, I'll do it. But thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. You know, I always thought the easiest way to run for election, run for re-election, get more seats for your party is results, is outcomes, is, this state should have no problem getting 52 seats of the Democratic Party if the people in charge right now were adept to solve the problems that we have. But they're not. One party rule doesn't work in red states. It does not work in blue states. And if California was the Mecca because we have these supermajorities and we've had this leadership for so long, then why is this state such a colossal mess? Let's go to Elaine in San Pedro. Elaine, hello.
Hi, Randy. I am definitely voting no, but what really angers me is that adding insult to injury, the special election is going to cost the taxpayers $235 million.
Yeah, that's money only. The budget only matters when they don't want to pay for things. They always have money for things they want to pay for, and we'll just kick that can down the road once again, like everything else. $235 million. That's almost a Dr. Evil number. Let's go to Mark in San Diego. Mark, hello.
Randy, hi. I'm definitely a no. Super majority of idiots running California has really run it into the ground. Makes no sense to have 100% of your representation, 52 representatives, and at least 30-some% are Republicans. So I mean, it's so crazy that I almost want them to win. I want them to win voting yes. They haven't done the math nationally. If he wants a fight nationally, there are more Republican states that could do the same thing, and then they'll lose seats again. And come the 2030 census, they're not going to count all these tens of millions of people who are here illegally, and California loses more seats. So they're shooting themselves in the foot. And I kind of hope they win so that it's more obvious that they do.
Well, I think you make a really strong point, and that might be very well what happens. Thanks so much for the call, Mark. Appreciate it. It is interesting. There is talk about the 2030 census not counting people in the country illegally. And yeah, that would hit California quite a bit. But interestingly enough, that would also hit the population totals for Texas and Florida. Let's go to Brian in Lake Forest. Brian, hello.
Hello, sir. There's not a chance in Hades that I'd vote yes for anything these Marxists push our way. And with the country's highest tax rates and homeless And unemployment, I think they should stop worrying about what Texas is doing and worry about doing their own job first.
Yeah, enough with all the politics. We got real problems here. Some of them are dire. People die on the streets every day. We lost thousands of homes to wildfires, but, this is what they focus their time on. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's do one more. Let's go to Alan in Encino. Alan, hello.
Oh, hi. How are you? Okay, so let me break your streak of 25 no's in a row. I will definitely be voting yes. I don't see this as a California issue as much as I do a national issue. I consider Trump to be the most dangerous human being of our times. I see that he's putting troops out on the streets of L.A. and Washington with the thoughts of doing it all over. I think that is just a test of calling for martial law before these elections, and anything to stop Trump, in my view, is a good thing. And that's my comment.
Peace achieved any way possible, no matter how many men, women, and children we have to kill to get it. It's the Peacemaker line. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. That show's really great. You should check it out. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Hello, Randy. I'm voting no, but Gavin Newsom's already raised $6.2 million in 1 week. Wow.
Oh, and he's going to raise a whole lot more because he's on the national stage. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Have I got a giveaway for you and a story to tell? Let's start with this. Get your dialing fingers ready. 790 KABC welcomes Shucked, the Tony Award-winning musical comedy at the Hollywood Pantages Theater, August 19th through September 7th. That means it's playing now. Tickets are on sale right now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-790-5222. Gets a pair of tickets to the show on August 28th. Tickets furnished by the Hollywood Pantages Theater. Good luck dialing. Last night, I was invited by the wonderful Hollywood Pantages Theater to see opening night of Shucked. And I had heard a thing or two about this show when it premiered in New York. I have heard a lot of reviews saying how funny it was, but I went in knowing nothing about this show except Korn. I knew that Korn was involved with it. If you've seen the posters, there's even a giant shuck of corn on top of the Hollywood Pantages Theater sign. And my wife and I sat down and for 2.5 hours could not stop laughing. This show is a riot. It is absurd. It is ridiculous. And it is a fun time. Some of the jokes can be a little racy. Some of them might go over kids' heads, but it is a really, really good time. It was such a joy to be in there. It was such a great vibe. And the music was wonderful. Very heartfelt, incredible performances. Really loved the woman that played Lulu. But the songs all have like a very old school country vibe, which you don't usually hear in Broadway, and it was very refreshing. And there were a couple of performances near the end that just blew me away. But this show is so much fun. It is ridiculous how funny this thing is. And I highly recommend while it's in town. This is a perfect show for a date night. Me and my wife had the best time ever seeing Shucked. It is playing through September 7th, and I thought it was just a delight. It was a complete escape from reality, and it was just a whole lot of fun. I'd tell you more about the story, but you don't need to know. All you need to know is that there's a town full of corn, and there's a problem a brewing, and someone's got to go save the day. But it was a blast. And of course, every time we go to the Pantages, it is such a good time. I got real lucky. We left the house at 6:00 right after the show, got down to Hollywood with minimal traffic, was able to get into that good parking lot, the one on Argyle right behind the theater. Yeah, it's $10 more than the other lots, but it's worth it because they'll park your car at a place where it's really easy to get right back on the freeway. And they even gave me my keys back. I was ready to go. And of course, I cannot tell you about the Pantages without always reminding you about the Pantages trick, because you go in there, you get your ticket scanned, you get your program, you got some time to kill. Maybe you go get a drink before the show. They got a wonderful bar. But the trick is, and the insiders know this, when you're at the bar pre-show, you can pre-order your drinks for intermission, which means you pay for them both now, and then as soon as that 15-minute window comes in intermission, you go over there, and your drinks are sitting there waiting for you. You don't have to get in a long line. You can have your drink and then deal with the bathroom line and then get back ready for the second half of the show. But it was a really good time. I have had nothing but incredible positive experiences every single time I've been going to the Pantages, and I've been a regular viewer of the shows that get put on there for about 12 years now. It was a complete game changer for me, put me in really my adult era of life, and I love everything that's there. I'm really excited about some of the shows that are coming later this year, including Les Mis is coming back. Hadestown is coming. Never seen that before. There's a lot of really cool things that are on the horizon, and I feel really blessed that I got to go see this show, and it was a great time. So someone's going to get tickets right now, but they got tickets available. Check it out. It's a good time, and I won't steer you wrong. Thank you all so much for listening to this show. It is an absolute pleasure to bring it to you every single day, taking your phone calls, reading your emails, and telling you the stuff that matters locally right here in Southern California. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 for another News Blitz. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 on Talk Radio 790 KABC.